YouTube, what is up, man? I hope everybody's doing well. Today, doing something a little bit different. So, there's a lot of different ways and styles that you can do when it comes to editing videos, and especially in the fishing world, it's no different. So, typically, whenever I make a video, I usually do my breakdowns of what I'm doing on the water. Um, and I've realized just from watching a lot of other channels that a lot of guys they do their breakdowns like back at the house, like in their truck, off the water. And I got to thinking about it, and I think I may try and do this more often because I think it allows me to be a little bit more thorough and detailed on what I was doing. Because when I'm on the water, I'm so dialed in on fishing that a lot of times I don't even want to take breaks. I mean, if I'm on an all day trip, a lot of times the only breaks I take are to eat a sandwich and I'm right back at it. I'm just that dialed in and focused on fishing and the next cast that a lot of times whenever I do those breakdowns on the water, I feel like they're a little rushed and I'm not able to be as thorough as I want to be. So yeah, that's exactly what we're doing today. I'm back at my house right now. This is days after that fishing trip, and I was able to look at that footage, and yeah, we're just going to talk about it, so let's dive in. All right, so this was a short and sweet fishing trip. This was at the lake that was down the street from the house, and 3-4 hours maybe, so short and sweet, but we got on some fish. So to start the day off, I got there pretty early, as you'll see. I went right to the point that's right beside the ramp, and typically in May is when the topwater bite really starts to take off where I live. You know, you might hear guys say you can get on some earlier topwater bites, but May is usually where it becomes a thing, to where you always have a topwater tied on. So this was earlier May, middle of May, whenever I did this fishing trip, and yeah, I started off with some topwater. I did see some topwater activity, and I don't know if they were bass feeding. They may have been smaller bait fish, but either way, even if there's bait fish feeding on top of the water, the bass are gonna be close by. So started off with a spook in my hands and went to work. The spook was the weapon of choice. Looking back, I probably should have thrown a few different topwaters, different styles, but I just kept that spook in my hands, man, and just was going at it. Didn't get any bites, and so I knew there was fish in the area. There was active fish. Like I said, I didn't know how many bass were there, so I didn't get any bites on the topwater. I tied on the Mini Max chatterbait, little 3/8 ounce Mini Max, and I was burning that thing right below the surface, and I was able to get on the board. Let's check it out. All right, so we're on the board, man. Hey, anytime you get the skunk off the boat, even if it's not a big one, that's always a beautiful thing. So we're on the board, and I'm feeling pretty good because I caught that fish within the first like maybe 15-20 minutes of being on the water. And like I said, with all that topwater activity going on, I thought maybe I would get on a little decent bite, but that was not the case. So I threw that topwater around, stayed in that area, you know, threw that chatterbait, was kind of mixing between the two for like, you know, 30-45 minutes and didn't get another bite. So I kept making my way down the bank, and I didn't get this next fish on camera. I'm not sure what happened there, but I was able to run into my second fish, another smaller fish, on a square bill, a 1.5 chartreuse blackback. It was cloudy skies and still pretty early in the morning, so I wanted to go with that chartreuse, and I was able to get on another little fish, but that was maybe like an hour later. Like I said, didn't get that one on camera, unfortunately. So we kept moving, and what happened next was kind of crazy. A guy cut me off, basically, and you see this a lot more and more in the fishing world. It's just insane how much pressure there is on water now. It seems like it's just every year it gets more and more crazy. But this guy cut me off, man, and I didn't say anything. One, it's because the lake I was on was really small, so anytime you're on a small lake, you kind of have to expect it a little bit and have a little room to allow, you know, getting close to other boats. But if you're on a big lake and you do that, like, don't be that guy, right? Just don't be that guy. There's plenty of water. There's no need to, you know, smother people. But anyways, this guy cut me off, whatever. You know, I wasn't going to say anything, get too worked up about it, but he did kind of change my course, but it worked out for the better, and you'll see why here in a second. So I cut across the lake, and I went to a whole different side area, and this area had a lot more grass. And so I picked up a jig. It was a 3/8 ounce black and blue jig, and I started fishing the edge of this grass, and we'll see what happens next. He ate that pretty good. All right, that was pretty awesome, man. I was feeling good about that one. It was a little bit better than the first couple fish I got, and it was flipping a jig. So a couple years ago, I really fell in love with flipping a jig. Really one of my go-to baits. If I could only pick one bait to fish with, it'd be a jig. And in this case, like I said, I was flipping that, I believe it was a 3/8 ounce black and blue with a rage crawl. And so I caught that fish on the edge of the grass, and for me, I'm a flipper at heart, and so I caught that fish, and I'm like, here we go. I'm gonna spend probably the rest of the day doing that. Pitched around that jig for a while longer, but what I found was that the grass was a little too thick for that jig. I was actually getting caught up in the grass pretty well, even on the edge. I mean, I was able to find little holes here and there. So I flipped it around for a while longer, didn't get bit, was fighting the grass. And so what's the next thing you do when it's getting grassy, it's getting thick? You tie on a Texas rig. And so on my braid rod, I kind of wanted the 1-2 punch combo. I kept the jig on that rod, but then on my braid rod, I put I believe it was a 3/8 ounce tungsten weight, pegged it, and I've put the rage bug on, and I started going to work, and here's what happened after that. Yes. Oh yeah. Nice. That's what we've been trying to fish for all morning right there. Man, it's probably 3-4 pounder. Don't have a scale, unfortunately. It's all right. Whew. Beautiful fish, man. See the tail? Looks like there's some spawn action going on there. Let's get a release. Boom. That was awesome. That made the trip worth it. That was probably a 4 pounder. Didn't have a scale, but that was a really nice fish, and my plan worked exactly as I thought it would. So that that tungsten weight, I was able to get through the edge of that grass like super easy, and it wasn't too long after making that adjustment that I caught that fish. And so obviously I kept doing that for a while longer, didn't get bit, and the last adjustment that I tried to do was I put on a heavier tungsten weight. I ended up going 3/4 of an ounce, and I ended up getting deeper into that grass and actually punching a little bit. Didn't get bit for the rest of the trip, but hey man, for a little short fishing trip, that was pretty cool. Ran into some fish, ran into the nice fish. So yeah, like I said, man, this was a little bit different style of video, but I think I'm gonna start doing stuff like this more often. It just feels more natural for me, and I like it better. So anyways, if you guys check out the video and you're still with me, I appreciate it. and I will see you guys on the next one.